You know, there's a phrase that gets used all the time to shut down arguments and just end debates. But what if we've kind of been getting it wrong? Today, we're diving into the huge difference between harsh condemnation and wise, loving discernment.
Oh yeah, you've definitely heard this one. We've all been there, right? Whether it's a heated argument online or a tense family dinner, this is the line someone drops to just stop a difficult conversation in its tracks. It basically says, any moral observation is completely off limits.
And there it is. Judge not. It's so often thrown down like the ultimate trump card. It's a conversation stopper that basically implies any and all moral evaluation is forbidden. Period. End of discussion. Any attempt to talk about right and wrong gets hit with this one.
But is that really what's going on here? Is it truly a blanket ban on any kind of evaluation? Or is there something much, much deeper and, frankly, a lot more helpful happening in this famous teaching? Well, to figure that out, we've got to dig into the original context.
Okay, so to really get this, we kind of have to hop in a time machine. Let's go all the way back to the 1st century. Imagine a world where community, reputation, and shared values were absolutely everything. For the people who first heard these words, the idea of never making any moral distinctions would have sounded, well, just plain bizarre. Their entire world was built on evaluating behavior based on shared standards. In fact, if you saw someone heading down a bad path and didn't lovingly warn them, that was considered unloving.
You know, the key that unlocks this whole puzzle is in the original Greek word used here, krino. Now, like a lot of words, it has a whole range of meanings. It can mean just to evaluate something, to assess it. But it can also mean to render a final, damning verdict, to condemn. So context is absolutely everything.
So what Jesus is warning against isn't moral evaluation itself. He's warning against a specific type of judgment, that self-righteous, final condemnation that tries to put you in God's seat. He's basically saying, hey, don't act like you're the ultimate judge with the final say, because, well, you're not.
And this is where that famous and frankly brilliant analogy of the plank and the speck comes in. And what's so fascinating is that it isn't actually a ban on helping someone. It's a clear procedure for how to do it the right way. Now think about this. He never says to just ignore the speck. He doesn't say, pretend it isn't there, or just live and let live. He totally acknowledges that the problem is real, and it probably should be addressed. So the big question isn't if you should help, but how.
Instead, he lays out this incredible 3-step process. So, step 1, you identify the problem. You use your discernment. But, and this is the absolute game changer, before you do a single thing, you turn inward and deal with your own much bigger issues. Only then, with real humility and clear vision, are you actually in a position to help someone else. And this right here really gets to the heart of it. Condemnation is all about putting yourself above someone else. It's a power move. But true biblical discernment, that comes from a place of humility and a real desire to help. It's about solidarity, not superiority. You know, this whole idea of careful, loving evaluation wasn't just some random one-off comment. It's actually a theme that runs consistently through the rest of this teaching. It's not a contradiction. It's a powerful clarification.
I mean, get this. Just a few verses later, in the very same talk, Jesus actually commands a form of evaluation. He says you'll know people by their fruit, their actions, their character, their impact. You literally cannot obey this command without making some kind of evaluation.
And this brings us to a super important distinction. Our job isn't to judge someone's heart or their final destination. That's God's role. Our responsibility is to wisely and humbly evaluate the things we can actually see. Actions, teachings, and their results. The fruit.
And this idea doesn't stop there. The Apostle Paul really builds on this. He talks about the community's responsibility to handle issues internally, to gently restore people who have gone astray, and to celebrate what is excellent. See the pattern? The goal is always health and restoration, not just harsh punishment.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together. We've looked at the context, the language, the big analogies. Now let's just lay out the key differences in a really clear, practical way that we can all use. When you see them side by side like this, the contrast is just, wow, it's night and day, isn't it? Condemning judgment is harsh, it's arrogant, and it's all about attacking the person. It's basically trying to play God. But biblical discernment, it's gentle, it's humble, it's focused on behavior, and the ultimate goal is always loving restoration. It's about working with God's framework.
So look, if you take just one thing away today, let it be this. Our role is more like being a careful gardener.
inspecting the fruit to help the tree get healthier. We are not the judge in a black robe, banging a gavel and pronouncing some final, irreversible sentence.
And this thought just sums it all up perfectly, doesn't it? The call isn't to be blind, to just ignore the problems we see around us. The call is to get ourselves healthy first, so that when we do step in to help, we do it with clear vision, a steady hand, and a truly humble heart.